Hello dear friends, welcome to another lecture of strength of material. In the past few lectures, we saw how to draw shear force and bending moment diagram. In today's lecture, we are going to see how can we calculate bending stresses in the beams. Another very important topic as far as the exam is concerned, bending stresses in beams. Now, those of you who are watching me for the first time, let me introduce myself. My name is Aprup Rao. MTech from IIT Kharagpur. My specialization was mechanical systems design. Then I was recruited on campus by Mahindra and Mahindra automotive sector. I worked there for 2 years in the research and development center. Then I quit my job and I started teaching. I've been teaching for more than 6 years students who are preparing for GATE and engineering services, and I teach subjects related to design, strength of material, engineering mechanics, machine design, theory of machine. So you can see my love for design from my MTech till now. You can see I've always been associated with design. You can see my love for design, and I'm telling you guys, if you watch my lectures regularly, then I will make sure that you also fall in love with design. Okay, now we have been conducting live online lectures of all the subjects related to mechanical and civil engineering on our YouTube channel, Unacademy Gate ME. So if you have not subscribed till now, please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon so that you will get the notifications of all our video lectures. We are conducting live video lectures at different time for all the subjects related to mechanical and civil engineering. Okay, so be there every day at 7 a.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m. different times, different subjects, live, online, completely free of cost. And please don't forget to like and share our videos to all your Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram groups so that we can reach to maximum number of students, my friend. We have to increase our subscribers count so that we'll be able to do more on YouTube. Okay, and if you want to learn more from us, from the amazing team of top educators of India, including me. If you want to learn more from us, if you want that complete classroom experience, I'm talking about posting questions, I'm talking about one-on-one doubt sessions. If you want that, then you can take subscription of Unacademy Plus, my friend. Unacademy Plus is India's biggest online learning platform where India's top educators are taking live online classes. Okay, so if you want to learn everything from me and my team of top educators of India, subscribe to Unacademy Plus, my friend. 1 year subscription only cost 25,000, and if you use my coupon code APROOP10, this is my referral code, if you use my referral code, you will get a 10% discount. So 1 year subscription for all the subjects of GATE and engineering services, you will only have to pay 22,500 rupees, my friend, per day cost. If you calculate per day cost, it is only going to cost you 60 rupees per day. So in 60 rupees per day, you can learn from the top educators of India. There is an EMI facility also on credit card. So if any of your family member or friend has a credit card, then you can pay in EMI also. So it's an amazing offer from Unacademy Plus, my friend. Okay. All right. So let's move on to our video lecture. So in today's video lecture, we are going to learn how to calculate bending stresses in beams. My friends, beams are subjected to two types of load. Whenever we calculate the stresses, let's say this is a beam, okay? Consider any plane of the beam, let's consider this plane, okay? Let's consider this plane. So in this plane, you will see two different types of load, okay? Cut this beam using this plane, okay? What you will get? You will get a shear force, right, which is parallel to the plane, and you will get a bending moment, So there are two types of loads, my friend, on this plane. There are two types of load. There is a shear force and there is a bending moment. Okay, now due to the shear force, which stress will be developed, my friend? This force is parallel to the cross section of the beam. So due to shear force, there will be a shear stress, and due to this bending moment, my friend, there will be a bending stress. Okay, so there are two types of stresses developed in the cross section of the beam. Let's say this is a beam, then in this cross section, in this plane, there are two types of stresses. Due to shear force, there will be shear stress, and due to bending moment, there will be bending stress. Okay, so there are two types of stresses that we need to calculate in beam. First, we will calculate the bending stress, okay, and then once we are done with the bending stresses, we will calculate the shear stresses in beams. Okay, so there are two types of stresses that we need to calculate in cross section of beams: shear stresses and bending stresses, and we will deal with bending stresses first. Okay, now in order to calculate the bending stress, we need the equation of bending, and the equation of bending is given by Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. There are two types of theories for calculating bending stresses, my friend. One of this theory is known as Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory, my friend. Okay, there are two types of theories for calculating stresses or deformation in beam: Euler-Bernoulli beam theory and Timoshenko beam theory. Okay, Timoshenko beam theory is not in our syllabus, so we are not going to talk about that. In our syllabus, we need to see Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. From this theory, we derive an equation which we use to calculate stresses, to calculate deformation. Okay, so this is the theory that we need to study: Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. From this theory, we will get the equation of bending stress. Okay, now in Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory depends upon two particular assumptions, two very important assumptions. In case of Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory, we make a lot of assumptions. Some of these assumptions are general assumptions. For example, cross section of the beam remains constant, cross section of the beam is constant, material of the beam is homogeneous, material of the beam is isotropic. All these assumptions are basic assumptions which we make in every chapter, right? But there are two very important assumptions in case of Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. Without these assumptions, we cannot calculate the stresses in the beam. Okay, so we have to understand those assumptions. This is a very important topic, my friend, as far as the theory is important, as far as the theory is concerned, because all the theory topic, all the theory questions from beams are asked from this particular theory, Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. So we have to understand the concept behind Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. So there are two basic assumptions, very important assumption. Let's understand those assumptions. Okay, so the first assumption in Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory is beam is under pure bending. The beam is under pure bending. This is a very important concept, my friend. Okay, pure bending, it is a very important concept. You get a lot of theory questions from pure bending. Let's understand what is pure bending, my friend. Okay, beam is under pure bending. This is the first assumption. Let's understand the meaning of pure bending, my friend. Okay, so usually what happens, usually in case of beams, we get shear force, we get bending moment, right? Usually in case of beams, practically there will be shear force and there will be bending moment. But pure bending means there is no shear force. Pure bending means there is no shear force, there is only bending moment, and it is constant throughout the cross section. Okay, it is constant throughout the cross section. What is the relation between shear force and bending moment, my friend? dm by dx equals to s, right? This is the relation between shear force and bending moment. Now pure bending means there is no shear force. Pure bending means there is no shear force, means shear force is 0, and if shear force is 0, dm by dx will also be 0. What does it mean? dm by dx 0 means slope is 0, means the bending moment diagram will be horizontal, my friend, like this. Bending moment diagram will be like this, my friend. Bending moment diagram will be like this. Okay, so this is pure bending. This is what? Pure bending, my friend. Okay, so what is pure bending, my friends? Shear force is 0, bending moment diagram will be like this. From here to here, at every point you can see bending moment is constant. Okay, so if this is the beam, then pure bending means there is a couple acting here, M and there is a couple acting here M. Pure bending means it will be like this. So if you draw the bending moment diagram for this beam, you will get this diagram. From here to here, consider any section, my friend. Consider any section of this beam. Consider any section. Consider this section. What is the bending moment? From left or from right, bending moment will be M. Consider this section. What will be the bending moment? From left or from right, it will be M. Consider this section. It will be M. So at every section, the bending moment is constant. So this is known as pure bending, my friend. Okay, and it is a very important assumption in Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. It is very important to assume that the beam is under pure bending. Then only we can derive the equation of bending. Okay, so for the derivation purpose, we need to make certain assumptions. Without this assumption, the derivation will become very complicated. Okay, so we need a simple derivation. That's why we assume that the beam is under pure bending. Okay, so understand this concept, my friend. There will be theory question from this pure bending. So understand this. Pure bending means shear force is zero and bending moment is constant. There is only bending and bending moment is constant. Okay, so this is the first assumption. Let's move on to the second assumption, my friend. Let's move on to the second assumption. Now the second assumption is another very important assumption, my friend. The equation of bending is entirely dependent on this assumption, my friend. Okay, so the second assumption, another very important assumption. Let's understand this assumption. According to this assumption, cross section of beam remains plane after bending. Okay, if you want, you can write this down, my friend, because this is very important to understand. Okay, without this assumption, bending equation cannot be derived. So this is a very important assumption, my friend. Cross section of the beam remains plane after bending. Okay, so let's understand what is the meaning of this assumption. Okay, so let's say this is the beam. Let's say this is the beam. What we are saying is, after bending, it should remain plane. Okay, the cross section should remain plane. So what is the cross section? This is the cross section, right? This is the cross section. Let's say this is a beam, then this is the cross section. Right now it is plane. Right now you can see it is plane. Okay, after bending, what we are saying that it should remain plane. So let's say the beam is bent like this. Let's say the beam is bent like this. Okay, so it should remain plane like this. It should remain plane. It should not get distorted, my friend. This is distorted shape. If it happens like this is what? Distortion in the cross section. This is distortion in the cross section. You can see that the cross section is not plane in this case, but in this case the cross section remains plane. The cross section remains plane. Now what is the meaning of this assumption, my friend? See, when there is shear force, then what happens? The cross section gets distorted like this. When there is shear force, then what happens? The planes of the beam tends to move like this. Okay, the planes of the beam tend to move like this, parallel to each other. So the cross section gets distorted. But in Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory, we assume that there is no change due to shear. We neglect the effect of shear. So that's why we are assuming that it does not distort like this. If there is shear, it will be distorted like this. It will become like this. But if you neglect the effect of shear, then you can assume that if the cross section was plane before bending, it will remain plane after bending. Look at this. Look at this cross section. It is plane. Okay, this is a distorted shape, but this is plane. Okay. Now mathematically what it means, this is very important to understand. What is the meaning, mathematical meaning behind this? Okay, so if you consider any plane, let's consider this plane. Okay, let's consider this plane. So initially it was like this. Okay, initially it was like this, and after bending it became like this. Okay, initially the plane was like this, and after bending it became like this. Okay, now what is this, my friend? What is this? What is this, my friend? From here to here, what is this change, my friend? This is the change in length, my friend. Initially this point was here and now this point moved to here. So what is this? What is this? What is this? From here to here, what is this? Change in length, my friend. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Change in length is varying how? From top point to bottom point, the change in length at every point is changing how? It is changing linearly, right? Now change in length divided by length. What is it? It is epsilon, my friend. Change in length divided by length. So you can see that epsilon from top to bottom is varying how? Linearly. You can see from top to bottom. If this is 5 mm, this will be 3 mm, 2 mm, 1 mm, 0 mm, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from top to bottom, this is showing change in length, right? This is showing change in length. Change in length divided by length, what is it? Epsilon. So you can see that from top to bottom, epsilon is varying linearly. What is the distribution of epsilon? Linearly. Now apply Hooke's law. What is Hooke's law? Sigma is directly proportional to epsilon. So if epsilon is varying linearly, then what will be the distribution of sigma, my friend? What will be the distribution of sigma? Sigma will also vary linearly. If epsilon is linear, sigma will also be linear because sigma is directly proportional to epsilon. So what is the meaning of this assumption? Very important to understand, my friend. You will get theory question. So cross section of beam remains plane after bending means the sigma from top to bottom will vary linearly. So in the bending equation, you will see that sigma will vary linearly from top to bottom. The equation of sigma will be linear equation. Why? Because we are assuming that the cross section remains plane after bending. If the cross section becomes distorted like this, if it becomes distorted like this, then the equation of sigma will become, look at this. This is a curve like a parabola. So you will get a parabolic equation. But right now what we are assuming, it remains plane. Means sigma will vary linearly like this. So the equation of sigma will be linear, my friend. Okay. So this is another very important assumption. Cross section of beam remains plane after bending. Okay. If there is a shear, then cross section will become distorted. But we are assuming there is no effect of shear. That's why it will remain plane after bending. Cross section will remain plane after bending. So these are two very important assumptions in Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. The first assumption, beam is under pure bending, and the second assumption, cross section of beam remains plane after bending. There are other assumptions also. What are the other assumptions? Material of the beam remains homogeneous and isotropic. Okay, what is homogeneous? What is isotropic? We have already covered. Then another assumption, cross section of the beam is constant, means it is prismatic beam. Okay, then what is other assumption? Other assumption, Hooke's law is valid. Okay, Hooke's law is always valid. So there are other assumptions also, but those assumptions are general assumptions. These two assumptions are particular to beams. Okay, these two assumptions are very particular to beam. Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory depends upon these two assumptions. Beam is under pure bending and cross section remains plane after bending. Okay, now what is the equation of Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory? You will get this equation, my friend. You will get this equation from Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. Sigma by y equals to m by I equals to E by R. Okay, this is the Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. This is the equation of Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. Okay, sigma by y equals to m by I equals to E by R. This is a very important equation. Sigma by y equals to m by I equals to E by R. This is the equation that we use to calculate stresses, to calculate deformation. Okay, so this equation is derived using Euler-Bernoulli's beam theory. Sigma by y equals to m by I equals to E by R. Now we will see one by one what are these parameters. What is sigma, what is y, what is m, what is I, what is E, what is R. One by one we will see. Okay, so what is sigma, my friend? Sigma is nothing but bending stress. What is sigma? Sigma is nothing but bending stress. Okay, what is y? Y is vertical distance from neutral axis. Y is what? Vertical distance from neutral axis. Now first of all, we need to understand what is neutral axis. Okay, then only we will understand sigma and y. Okay, so let's say we have a circular beam. Let's say we have a circular beam. Okay, let's say this is a circular beam. Now in case of circular beam, what happens? If the beam is bent, top layer, bottom layer, both will be deformed. If the beam bends, top layer and bottom layer both will deform. Okay, let's say it is deformed like this. After bending, let's say it is deformed like this. Okay, let's say initially the length was 100 mm. Okay, after bending, what happened? After bending, let's say the length of the bottom layer became 110 mm and length of the top layer became 90 mm. Okay, top layer is decreasing in length. Look at this, top layer length is decreased and on bottom layer length is increased, right? So top layer became 90 and bottom layer became 110. Now from top to bottom, if you consider different layer, there will be different change in length. From top to bottom, for all the layers, change in length will be different. So when you will go from top to bottom, you will get 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. There will be a layer whose length will be 100. From 90 to 110, there will be a layer whose length will be 100. So what does it mean, my friend? Initial length of this layer was 100. Initial length of every layer was 100. And now the final length is also 100. So this layer is undeformed layer. Length of this layer is not changed. Length of top layer changed, length of bottom layer changed, but length of this layer did not change. Okay, so remember this, understand this point. Length of every layer changed, 90 to 110, length of every layer changed, but length of this layer remains unchanged. This layer is known as neutral layer, my friend. This layer whose length remain unchanged is known as neutral layer. Okay, so neutral layer is what? Neutral layer is a surface. Okay, neutral layer is a surface like this. This is a neutral layer. This is what? This is a surface. Okay, this is neutral layer. Okay, so this is a layer. On this layer at every point, what is epsilon? What is change in length? 0. And if epsilon is 0, sigma is also 0. So on this layer at every point, sigma is 0, epsilon is 0. Now look at the side view of this beam. Look at the side view. Okay, this is the cross section of the beam. This is the cross section of the beam. This is the cross section of the beam. Look at this side view. This neutral layer will cut this cross section. This neutral layer will cut this cross section along a straight line, right? This is the line which is cutting the cross section. Neutral layer will cut. See, this is the beam. So if you cut this neutral layer using a neutral surface, if you cut this cross section using a neutral layer, this cross section will cut along a line. This is the line which is known as neutral axis, my friend. So what is neutral axis? It is the intersection of neutral layer. It is the intersection of neutral layer with the cross section of the beam. If you cut the beam using neutral layer, okay, if you cut the beam using neutral layer, then the intersection of neutral layer with the cross section is known as neutral axis. Okay, now where do we get neutral axis? Neutral axis of all the cross section passes through the centroid of the cross section. This is, let's say, the centroid of the cross section. So neutral axis passes through the centroid of the cross section. Okay, so where do you get the centroid? In case of circle, it will be at the center. Let's say you have a triangle. Let's say you have a triangle. So where do you get the centroid of triangle? You get the centroid of triangle at h by 3 from bottom. You get the centroid of triangle at h by 3 at the from the bottom. So the neutral axis of triangle will pass through this centroid h by 3. Okay, so where do you get neutral axis? It passes through the centroid of the cross section. And what is neutral axis? It is the intersection of neutral layer. It is the intersection of neutral layer with the cross section of the beam. Okay, so do you understand what is neutral layer and what is neutral axis? Neutral layer is a surface and neutral axis is a line. Okay. All right. Now what is y? Y is the vertical distance from neutral axis. Y is the vertical distance from neutral axis. For example, let's say you have a rectangular beam. Let's say you have a rectangular beam. Okay, the centroid of rectangle will be again at the center. So this is the neutral axis. Okay, this is the neutral axis. So what is y? It is the vertical distance from neutral axis. Let's say you want to calculate sigma at this point. Okay, let's say you want to calculate sigma at this point. So y will be this distance. Okay, y will be at this distance. Let's say you want to calculate sigma at this point, then y will be this distance, vertical distance from neutral axis. Okay, so bending stress at every point will be different, my friend, because every point will have a different value of y. Sigma value depends upon the y value. So bending stress will depend upon the value of y. Sigma is actually proportional to y. Bending stress is proportional to y. It varies linearly. Okay, it varies linearly. Where will you get maximum sigma? Where will you get maximum sigma, my friend? Maximum sigma will be at maximum y. And where will you get maximum y? You will get maximum y at top and at bottom. Okay, you will get maximum sigma at top and at bottom, but at top stress will be different, at bottom stress will be different. At top, let's say stress is tensile, then at bottom stress will be compressive. If stress is compressive at top, it will become tensile at bottom. Okay, if top layer increases, bottom layer decreases. If top layer decreases, bottom layer increases. Okay, all right, so let's draw how sigma will vary from top to bottom. So at neutral axis, sigma will be 0. At neutral axis, sigma will be 0. At top, sigma will be maximum. Let's say it is maximum tensile. At bottom, sigma will be maximum compressive. Okay, and from top to bottom, sigma will vary how? Linearly. Y to the power 1 means straight line. So it will vary linearly like this. This will be the distribution of sigma. You can see that from top to bottom, sigma is varying linearly. At every point, the bending stress will be proportional to y, distance from neutral axis. At neutral axis, y will be 0, so sigma will be 0. At top and bottom, y will be maximum, so sigma will be maximum. So what is sigma? It is bending stress. What is y? Vertical distance from neutral axis, my friend. Neutral axis will be located where? Neutral axis will pass through the centroid. Okay, you have to understand all these things, then only you will be able to apply the equation. If you don't understand the meaning of all this, you will not be able to use this equation properly. You will get stuck in different question. You will get confused in different question. Okay, so understand the meaning of each and everything that I am explaining right now. Then we will start solving problems directly from GATE, previous year GATE question. Okay, all right. So sigma is the bending stress, y is the vertical distance from neutral axis. What is m, my friend? M is the bending moment. M is the bending moment. So if you are calculating sigma at any cross section, what will be the value of m? It will be the bending moment. Let's say you have a cantilever beam subjected to loads. Okay, you have a cantilever beam subjected to load. Let's say this is 1 kilonewton, this is 2 kilonewton, 1 meter, A, B, C. Let's say I am asking you calculate sigma maximum bending stress in this beam. Let's say I am asking you calculate bending stress in this beam, maximum bending stress. First of all, you have to find the cross section where sigma will be maximum. Sigma will be maximum where m will be maximum. Okay, bending moment will be maximum. So where will you get maximum bending moment in this case? Maximum bending moment in this particular case will be at point C. Maximum bending moment will be at point C. What will you get? 1 into 2 plus 2 into 1. You will get 4 kilonewton meter. So if I ask you calculate sigma maximum, then you will put m maximum bending moment, which is 4 kilonewton meter. Okay, so you will put m maximum equals to 4 kilonewton meter, and then you will calculate sigma. Okay, so in any problem, if you have this loading condition and if I ask you to calculate sigma maximum, what you will first do? You will calculate m maximum. In case of cantilever beam, where do you get M maximum? At the fixed end. In case of simply supported beam, where do you get M maximum? Where the sign of shear force changes. We have seen this in case of shear force and bending moment diagram. Where do you get M maximum? Okay, so this is how we can calculate sigma maximum using the value of M. First, you have to find out M maximum, my friend. Now, if you are able to understand all this, give me a thumbs up, my friend. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, my friend. If you like this video, if you are understanding all this concept, hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up, my friend. Cheer me up. Cheer me up. Come on, cheer me up. Hit the like button. Okay. So this is M, bending moment. And if you have this loading diagram, you calculate maximum bending moment. Now moving on, what is the value of I? What is the value of I? So this actually should be INA. This is INA, which is nothing but moment of inertia. Moment of inertia of cross section about neutral axis. So what is I? Moment of inertia of cross section about neutral axis. Okay. Now let me briefly explain you what is moment of inertia. Okay, although it is a topic related to engineering mechanics, you will study this topic in detail in engineering mechanics, but let me explain you in brief what is moment of inertia, and I will give you a very physical meaning of moment of inertia. What moment of inertia is physically. So what is moment of inertia, my friend? What is moment of inertia? Moment of inertia of any cross section is the area, is the distribution of area. Distribution of area. Moment of inertia is also known as second moment of area. It is also known as second moment of area. What is second moment? First moment means area into distance. Second moment means area into distance square. So what is moment of inertia, my friend? It is area into distance square. Means how far the area it is distributed from the neutral axis. If this is the neutral axis, how far the area is distributed. Okay. Now let's understand why do we need moment of inertia. Look at the distribution of stress, my friend. Look at the distribution of stress. I am explaining you the meaning of moment of inertia in a physical manner. I am explaining you the physical significance of moment of inertia, my friend. Okay, I am explaining you physical significance. I will not give you a definition. I will explain what is the physical meaning of moment of inertia. So this is the distribution of sigma. Look at this. This is sigma maximum. This is sigma maximum. Where do you get maximum stresses, my friend? You get maximum stresses away from neutral axis. Near the neutral axis, stresses are less. Away from neutral axis, stresses are more. So if stresses are more away from neutral axis, then in order to sustain this stress, the material should be more away from neutral axis, right? The material should be more away from neutral axis. Away from neutral axis, material should be more. Near the neutral axis, material should be less, my friend. So moment of inertia tells you how far the area is distributed from neutral axis. How far the area is distributed from neutral axis. The area should be away from neutral axis. The area should be away from neutral axis. If the area is away from the neutral axis, then the beam will be able to sustain more amount of load. Okay. So let's say you have two area, a rectangle and a circle. Let's say you have two area, rectangle and a circle. Both areas are equal in magnitude, but in this case, area away from neutral axis is more. Area away from neutral axis is more. In this case, area away from neutral axis is less. So which one will be better? For bending stresses, which one will be better? This cross section will be better. Why? Because its moment of inertia will be more. Its area is at a more distance from neutral axis. This area is at a less distance from neutral axis. In this case, area is close to neutral axis. In this case, area is away from neutral axis. Okay. So what is moment of inertia? Second moment of area means distance, area into distance square. And why do we need moment of inertia? Because the stresses will be more from away from neutral. The stresses will be more away from neutral axis. Okay, the stresses will be less near the neutral axis, it will be more away from neutral axis. So you need more material away from neutral axis. So in case of circle, the neutral axis area will be near to neutral axis, so moment of inertia will be less. In case of rectangle, moment of inertia will be more. And in case of I section, moment of inertia will be maximum. Why? Because in this case, look at this, area will be away from neutral axis, the distance will be maximum, the distance of area will be maximum in this case, right? So this will have maximum moment of inertia because here the area is away from neutral axis. This will have less moment of inertia and this will have minimum moment of inertia. Why? Because here maximum area is near the neutral axis. Here maximum area is away from neutral axis. Here maximum area is near the neutral axis. Okay. So this will be good for bending. That's why railway tracks are made of I section. Why the railway tracks are made of I section? Because railway tracks are subjected to bending, and in case of bending, cross section which have more area away from neutral axis will be better. Cross section which has more area away from neutral axis will be better, means I section will be better. Okay, so I is moment of inertia, means second moment of area or area into distance square. You should remember the equation of I for all cross section. So what will be equation of I for circle? Let's say we have a circle of diameter d. So equation of I will be pi by 64 d to the power 4. What will be equation of I for rectangle, my friend? For rectangle, let's say cross section is b into h. B is width, height is h. So moment of inertia about neutral axis in this case, what will be the formula? The formula will be bh cube by 12. So there is a formula of moment of inertia for different cross section. You have to remember the moment of inertia formula. Okay. So for solid circle it is pi by 64 d to the power 4. For rectangle it is bh cube by 12. In maximum case we get these cross section. Okay. In maximum case we get either a circle or a rectangle. Okay. So I is moment of inertia about neutral axis. Now what is E, my friend? E is Young's modulus. E is nothing but Young's modulus. Young's modulus of steel is how much? We have already seen what is Young's modulus. Modulus of elasticity. Young's modulus of steel is 200 gigapascal, around 200 gigapascal. Okay. R is what? R is radius of curvature of beam after bending. What is R? Radius of curvature of beam after bending. Let's understand the meaning of R, because this is also another very important point. R, radius of curvature. So what is radius of curvature, my friend? Let's say this is the beam. Okay, let's say this is the beam. After bending, it becomes like this. After bending, it becomes like this. So after the beam bends, it becomes like a circular arc. Okay, let's say this is the neutral layer. So there is a radius of curvature of this neutral layer. Let's say this is a circular arc. So there is a radius of curvature here, R. What will be the R in this case? R in this case will be infinite. Okay, let's say the beam is not bent. Let's say the beam is straight. Then R will be infinite. And when the beam becomes like this, it becomes circular arc, then the R will decrease. So this is known as radius of curvature. If you bend it more, if it becomes like this, then R will again decrease. Here the R will be less. So here R will be less, here R will be more, and here R will be infinite. So what is R? Radius of curvature. When the beam bends, what is this radius? When the beam bends, it bends into circular arc. So what is this radius? R. This is the radius of curvature. Okay. Now you can see that if sigma will be inversely proportional to R. Look at this equation. Sigma by Y equals to E by R. Sigma will be inversely proportional to R. So if R decreases, sigma increases. So in this case, sigma will be maximum. Then in this case, sigma will be less. And in this case, sigma will be 0. Because here R is infinity. So sigma will be 0. As the R will decrease, if the beam starts to bend, R will start to decrease. and as the r decreases, sigma increases. Okay, as the radius of curvature will decrease, sigma will start to increase, my friend. Okay, another very important concept, my friend, how sigma and r are related. So sigma is inversely proportional to r. If r will start to decrease, as the beam will start to bend, r will start to decrease, and if r is decreasing, sigma is increasing. So here sigma will be maximum, and here when the beam is straight, it is not bent, sigma will be 0, my friend. R will be infinity, sigma will be 0. So this is the bending equation that we are going to use in order to calculate the bending stress. Sigma by y equals to m by I equals to E by R, and we saw the meaning of all the points, all the different parameters in this equation. So remember this equation, sigma by y equals to m by I equals to E by R, my friend. Okay, now moving on, we will start to calculate the bending stress. Okay, we will now see how bending stresses are calculated. Okay, we will now see how bending stresses are calculated. We will see a few questions on bending stresses. Okay, we will see a few questions on bending stresses directly from gate. Okay, now bending stress, calculation of bending stress, sigma. There will be two types of question. There will be two types of question based on calculation of sigma. One will be where you will have the value of r. Okay, one question will be where you will have the value of r, and in one question you will have the value of m. So if r is given, radius of curvature is given, what will be your equation? Sigma by y equals to E by r. Now we will have to calculate sigma maximum. And where will you get sigma maximum? Where y will be maximum. So what will be your equation? Sigma maximum will be E into y maximum by r. This will be your equation of bending stress. Sigma max will be E into y maximum by r. And if m is given, where will you get the value of m? Let's say I am giving you a cantilever beam. Okay, I am telling you the load, I am telling you the distance. Then what you will calculate? M maximum. Okay, you will first calculate M maximum. So in this question, R will not be given, value of M will be given. So how will you calculate sigma? In this question, sigma maximum will become M into Y maximum by I. First you will calculate maximum bending moment. From the loading diagram, first you will calculate the maximum bending moment, then you will put it here and you will get sigma maximum. So you will get two types of problem. In one problem, R will be given, and in one problem, M will be given. Okay, so we will see both types of problem. Okay, we will see both types of problem, the problem based on value of R, problem based on value of M, and we will solve problems of previous year gate question. Okay, we will solve problems directly from gate. So let's solve some problems based on gate. Now, if you have not still liked the video, please hit the like button, give me a thumbs up. If you are getting all these concepts, and if you want me to do more and more, please encourage me by giving me a thumbs up, my friend. Give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs up. Please like this video, and after this video ends, don't forget to share this video with your friends, my friend. Remember, sharing is caring, my friend. Remember, sharing is caring. In this difficult time, nobody is able to go to classrooms. Nobody is able to go to coaching center. So we are all stuck at our home. So let's continue our study. So please share these videos to all your friends so that they will also get the benefit of free education. Okay. So remember, caring, sharing is caring. Keep sharing my videos, my friend. Keep sharing my videos. And we will now start to solve problems on bending stresses directly from gate. Okay. So first we will solve problems based on radius of curvature. Okay. So I will solve the first question from GATE 2019. This question is from GATE 2019. Okay, recently asked. Last year it was asked. What is the problem? A wire of circular section of diameter 1 mm. It is of circular section. This is the cross section. Diameter is given 1 mm. Okay, a wire of circular section of diameter 1 mm is bent into circular arc, of radius of curvature 1 meter. Radius of curvature is given. Wire is bent into circular arc of radius of curvature 1 meter. Young's modulus is given 100 gigapascal. calculate the maximum bending stress. Calculate maximum bending stress. Okay. So we have a wire, we have a circular wire which is bent into circular arc. We have bent this wire into a circular arc like this. Okay. It was a very thin wire. It is bent like this, and the radius of curvature, this radius of curvature is how much? 1 meter. And now we have to calculate sigma maximum. Very easy, very easy. Just use this equation. Sigma maximum will be E into Y maximum by R. Sigma by Y equals to E by R. Okay. Now, what is the value of E? 100 gigapascal. But we need the stress into megapascal. So we'll convert gigapascal into megapascal. What is Y maximum? Y maximum will be distance from top to bottom. Neutral axis distance from top to or bottom. Neutral axis distance from top or bottom. So what will be the distance? 0.5 mm. This total distance is 1 meter. Diameter is 1 meter. So this distance will be 0.5. So Y maximum is 0.5. And what is radius of curvature? 1 meter means 1 into 10 to the power 3 mm. So 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 3 cancel. What will you get? Sigma max will be 50 megapascal. At top or bottom of the wire, at top or bottom of the wire, sigma will be maximum 50 megapascal. At one point it will be compressive, at one point it will be tensile, my friend. Okay. So this is the first question, GATE 2019 question. Okay. Second question, my friend. Second question, another question from GATE 2019. So you can see that it is a very important topic because it was asked in GATE 2019. There are two questions in set 1 and in set 2. There are two questions based on the same concept, bending stress from radius of curvature. So what is this question? Consider a beam of length L equals to pi meter. Let's say we have a beam of length L equals to 10 pi meter. Okay, consider this beam L equals to 10 pi meter. It is bent in such a way that the two ends meet, this end and this end meet to form a circular arc, to form a circle. Okay, so what we have done, we have bent this beam so that this end and this end will meet and it will become what? A circle. It will become a circle. Initially it was straight and now we have bent it to form a circle. Radius of this circle is given. Radius of this circle is given. Radius of this circle is, let's say, R. Okay, radius of this circle is, let's say, R. Okay, radius of this circle is, let's say, R. Young's modulus is given, my friend, 200 gigapascal. Young's modulus is given 200 gigapascal, and you need to calculate again sigma maximum. Okay, so this is another question. What is this question? In this question, we have a straight beam and we are bending it. We are bending it like this so that this end and this end will meet like this and it will become a full circle, and we have to calculate what will be sigma max. Now in order to calculate sigma, we need the value of R, and the value of R is not directly given, but we know that the length of this circle, what will be the length of this circle, what will be the parameter of this circle? It will be 2 pi R, right? It will be 2 pi R, and we know the value of L, 10 pi. So 10 pi, this will become, when it will become a circle, it will become 2 pi R. Okay, so 10 pi will become 2 pi R. Pi will get cancel, and R will be 10 meter, my friend. R will be 10 meter. Okay, so now we have the value of R. Just put it in the equation. Sigma maximum equals to E into Y maximum by R. So what is the value of E? 200 into 10 to the power 3 megapascal. Y maximum. Okay, cross section is also given, my friend. Cross section is also given. Cross section is square. Cross section is square. 5 mm by 5 mm. This is the cross section. Okay, 5 mm by 5 mm. So what will be Y maximum? Half of height, 2.5. What will be R? 10 meter, means 10 into 10 to the power 3. So 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 3 will be cancelled. What will you get? Sigma maximum, what will you get? What will you get? Sigma maximum, what will you get, my friend? So it will become 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 3 cancel. This 20 cancel. This will become 50 megapascal. So sigma maximum will be 50 megapascal, my friend. Okay, sigma maximum will be 50 megapascal. So this is the question. Wait a minute. R is 10 meter. Sorry. R will be 5 meter, my friend. So sorry. R, this will become 5. So 5 into 10 to the power 3, this will become 100 megapascal. So sorry for the calculation. Sometimes I make these mistakes in calculation. Please don't repeat my mistakes, okay? Please don't repeat my mistakes. Sometimes in the flow, I make this type of mistakes. Please don't make these mistakes yourself. So please be careful with the calculation, okay? So R is 5 meters, so your sigma maximum will be 100 megapascal, okay? So this is another question based on radius of curvature, okay? So you will get very simple question based on radius of curvature. R value will be given and you can directly calculate sigma by E into Y maximum by R. Now we will solve problems based on loading condition. Now we will see problems based on loading condition. So in case of problems based on loading condition, your loading diagram will be given. So first you will calculate maximum bending moment and then you will calculate sigma maximum, okay? If you are liking this video, please hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up, my friend. Please hit the like button, okay? I want maximum likes from you. Then only I'll get encouraged, and in the next lecture, I will do more and more. I'll solve more problems. I will give you more theory. So please hit the like button. Encourage me, my friend. Okay, give me a hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up. All right. Now, moving on to the next question. This next question is from GATE 2016. Okay, this next question is from GATE 2016. We have a cantilever beam. Subjected to UDL. This is 10 Newton per meter and the length is 1 meter. Okay. What else is given? Cross section is given 10 mm by 10 mm. Cross section is 10 mm by 10 mm. This is the cross section of the beam and you need to calculate sigma maximum. Okay. You need to calculate sigma maximum, my friend. Okay. Alright. So this is the problem. We have a cantilever beam subjected to UDL. The cross section is given. We need to calculate sigma maximum. Now in this question, my friend, we don't have a radius of curvature, but we have loading conditions. So what we will find out first? We will find out maximum bending moment. We will find out maximum bending moment, M maximum. So where will you get maximum bending moment, my friend? Where will you get maximum bending moment? In case of cantilever beam, maximum bending moment is always developed at the fixed end. Why? Because there is a couple at the fixed end. I told you bending moment is maximum at 2 points. One where there is a couple and other where there is a change in sign of shear force diagram. So here there will be no change in sign, but there is a couple at the fixed end. So M will be maximum at the fixed end. What will be M maximum, my friend? Calculate the M maximum. So M maximum in this case will be what? You will assume that UDL is acting at the center. So this distance will be 0.5 meter. So what will be the value of UDL? 10 into 1. Value of UDL will be 10 into 1 and this distance will be 0.5. So what will be M maximum, my friend? 5 Newton meter. The M maximum will be 5 Newton meter, or you can write 5 into 10 to the power 3 Newton mm. 5 Newton meter, or you can write 5 into 10 to the power 3 Newton mm. Now put the value in the equation. Sorry, this is 100 Newton per meter. Sorry. This is 100 Newton per meter. So this is 100 Newton per meter. So it is 100 into 1. So this will be 50 Newton meter, or you can write 50 into 10 to the power 3 Newton mm. Okay. So M maximum is 50 into 10 to the power 3 Newton mm. So now put the value in the equation. Sigma maximum is M into Y maximum by I. So what is the value of M? 50 into 10 to the power 3. What is Y maximum, my friend? Y maximum means this distance or this distance. Both will be equal. So what will be Y maximum? 5 mm. 5 mm, 5 mm. So Y maximum is 5 mm divided by I. So I will be 10 into 10 cube by 12. Right? I will be BH cube by 12. For rectangle, I will be BH cube by 12. 10 into 10 cube by 12. So solve this equation and give me the value of sigma max. Solve this equation, give me the value of sigma max. What will you get? What will be sigma max? What will you get? What will you get? You will get 300 megapascal, my friend. You will get 300 megapascal. So this is the answer. This is the maximum bending stress in the cross section of the beam for this particular problem. Okay. Now moving on to next question. Moving on to next question. We'll again solve a problem based on loading condition. Okay. Moving on to the next question. What will be the bending stress in this problem? Calculate it. We have a simply supported beam. We have a simply supported beam subjected to UDL. We have a simply supported beam subjected to UDL. Okay. This is 10 kilonewton per meter. This length is 4 meter. Okay. And cross section is 100 mm by 200 mm. Cross section of the beam is a rectangle 100 mm by 200. This is 100 mm. This is 200 mm. This is the cross section of the beam. You have to calculate sigma maximum. Calculate the sigma maximum in this case, my friend. Calculate sigma maximum in this case. Okay. Now again we have a problem based on loading condition. What do we want? We want maximum bending moment. Now in case of simply supported beam, where will you get sigma maximum? This is a simply supported beam with symmetric loading. Symmetric loading means on both sides of center loading is symmetric. If you draw the shear force diagram, your shear force diagram will be like this. Okay. Where the shear force will be changing sign? Where the shear force will be changing sign? Shear force will be changing sign at the center. If the load is symmetric, shear force will change the sign at the center and bending moment will be maximum at the center. Bending moment will be maximum at the center. Okay. This is in case of symmetric loading. In case of unsymmetric loading, you have to find where shear force will change in sign. But in case of symmetric loading, shear force will change sign at the center. So bending moment will be maximum at the center. For this particular case, for simply supported beam subjected to UDL, you have a direct formula. Remember this formula. WL square by 8. You can derive this formula very easy. Find the bending moment at the center, you will get WL square by 8. What is W? 10. What is the length? 4. Okay. So what will you get? 20 kilonewton meter, or you can write 20 into 10 to the power 6 Newton mm. Convert kilonewton meter into Newton mm, you will get 10 to the power 6. So this is your maximum bending moment, 20 into 10 to the power 6. Now just put the value in the equation. Sigma maximum equals to m into y maximum divided by I. So what is the maximum bending moment? 20 into 10 to the power 6. It will be at the center. Symmetric loading. So maximum bending moment will be at the center. Remember this formula because this question is repeatedly asked. So just remember this formula. Simply supported beam subjected to UDL. M maximum WL square by 8. What will be Y maximum? Distance from top to top or bottom. Distance from top or bottom. Y maximum will be 100. What will be value of I? BH cube by 12. So what will be BH cube by 12 here? 100 into 200 cube by 12. Solve this and give me a value of sigma maximum. Solve this and give me a value of sigma maximum, my friend. M into Y maximum by I. Solve this and give me a value of sigma maximum. If you solve this, you will get sigma maximum equals to 30 megapascal. Okay. In this problem, sigma maximum will be 30 megapascal. Okay. So this is another question based on the loading condition. Bending stress in case of loading condition. So what do you have to do? You have to first calculate the value of maximum bending moment, M maximum, and then you can use that M maximum in this equation. Sigma maximum equals to M into Y maximum by I. Alright, my friend, moving on. Now these questions were based on circular section, rectangular section, square section. Let's solve a problem of I section. Although it is very rare to get a problem of I section, but let's solve one problem so that you will have an idea how to solve a problem of I section. Okay. So I am taking one example of I section. Okay. So let's say we have a beam of I section, we have a beam of I section which is simply supported at the ends like this, and it is subjected to UDL of 10 kilonewton per meter. It is subjected to UDL of 10 kilonewton per meter. Length is 6 meter. Okay, and the beam has I cross section. Okay, the cross section of the beam is I. Let's say this is the cross section. Okay, let's say this is the cross section, I section. Okay, let's say the cross section of the beam is I section. Let's say the dimensions are given. This is 100 mm. Okay, this is 200 mm. This total height is 200 mm. This is 10 mm. This is 10 mm. And this is also 10 mm. So this is I section, a symmetric I section. Top flange, bottom flange. These parts are known as flange. Horizontal parts are known as flange. This is known as web. So top flange and bottom flange both are equal. This is a symmetric I section. What do we mean by symmetric I section? Neutral axis will be at the center, my friend. Neutral axis will be at the center. Centroid will be at the center. Neutral axis will be at the center. Okay. So this is a symmetric I section. Dimensions are given, and this is the loading condition. What do you need to calculate? Maximum bending stress. Try to solve this problem, my friend. Try to solve this problem. First you find out what will be maximum bending moment. Okay, first you find out what will be maximum bending moment. I told you what will be the equation of maximum bending moment in this case. Simply supported beam subjected to UDL. I told you what will be the equation of maximum bending moment. It will be WL square by 8. Okay, so what will be M maximum, my friend? M maximum will be WL square by 8. Just put the values here. Just put the value. What will be W? W will be 10. What will be the length? 6 meter. So WL square by 8. What will you get, my friend? What will you get? WL square by 8. Tell me what will you get? So this will be 10 into 36 by 8. 10 into 36 by 8. I am weak in calculation, so I need a calculator. 10 into 36 by 8, it will be 45 kilonewton meter. It will be 45 kilonewton meter, or you can write 45 into 10 to the power 6 Newton mm. Okay, so this is M maximum. Now what else I need? I need I, moment of inertia. So what will be the moment of inertia, my friend? In case of I section, we don't have a direct formula. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to assume that it is a complete rectangle. We are going to assume it is a complete rectangle. Okay, so what will be the moment of inertia of complete rectangle? It will be BH cube by 12. Okay, BH cube by 12. So capital B means 100 mm, capital H means 200 mm. Then what I am going to do, I am going to subtract this space and this space. Okay, this space and this space, I am going to subtract the moment of inertia. So if we combine this space and this space, let's say the width is B and height is H. Okay, so the moment of inertia of this space, this blank space and this blank space, if you combine them, it will become one rectangle. So moment of inertia of that blank rectangle will be BH cube by 12. So subtract moment of inertia of blank space from total rectangle and you will get I. What will be the value of capital B? What will be the moment of width of total rectangle? 100. Height of total rectangle 200. Okay. Then what will be the width of this blank space? Total rectangle minus this. So 100 minus this 10, 90. And what will be the height of blank space? Height of blank space will be 200 minus 10 means 180. So this is the moment of inertia of this I section. Tell me what will be the value. Tell me what will be the value. Tell me what will be the value. Remember how to calculate moment of inertia of I section. Okay. Capital BH cube by 12 minus small BH cube by 12. This is a very easy way. This is a very easy way. So let's calculate moment of inertia. 100 into 200 cube by 12 minus 90 into 180 cube by 12. So it will be 22.93 into 10 to the power 6. 22.93 into 10 to the power 6 mm to the power 4. So this is the moment of inertia. Okay. What will be y maximum, my friends? What will be y maximum? Maximum distance from neutral axis. It will be half of height, means 100 mm. Neutral axis will be at the center. So maximum distance from center will be 100 mm. So now you have the value of m, you have the value of I, you have the value of y. Just put it in the formula. So what is sigma maximum, my friend? M into y maximum by I. Put it here. What will you get? 45 into 10 to the power 6. This is m. Y maximum is 100 and moment of inertia I. What is moment of inertia I? 22.93 into 10 to the power 6. Calculate it. Calculate this value and give me the answer. Calculate this value and give me the answer, my friend. So it will be 45 into 10 to the power 6 into 100 divided by 22.93 into 10 to the power 6. The answer will be 196.25. It will be 196.25 megapascal. So this is the maximum stress which will be developed at the top layer and the bottom layer, my friend. This is the bending stress at the top layer and at the bottom layer for an I section. Okay. Usually we don't get problem of I section because the calculation is very lengthy, but you might get this in gate. Okay, you might get this in gate. So if you get a problem of I section, this is how you can calculate the moment of inertia. Very easy, very simple way. Capital BH cube by 12 means total rectangle minus small BH cube by 12 means this blank space. Okay, so this is how you can calculate bending stress in I section beam. Okay, all right. So these are the problems based on the calculation of bending stress. Okay, I will solve one more very interesting problem, my friend. I will solve one more very interesting problem. In this problem, there is a different concept. I will tell you a different concept using this example. Okay, those of you who have still not liked this video, please hit the like button. Then only I will get encouraged and I will solve more and more problems. So please give me a thumbs up. Please give me a thumbs up. Hit the like button, my friend. Hit the like button. And don't forget to share this video after this lecture ends. Don't forget to share the link of this video to as many students as possible. Put it in your Facebook. Put it on your WhatsApp. Send it to your WhatsApp group. Send it to your Telegram group. Send it to as many students. Sharing is caring, my friend. We have to reach maximum number of students. Okay. All right. So I will tell you another very important example, my friend. This question is asked in GATE 2006 from civil engineering. This is a question from civil engineering, GATE 2006. So what is it? A beam of cross section given below is subjected to a bending moment of 16 kilonewton meter. This is the cross section. Okay, this is the cross section. A beam of cross section given below is subjected to a bending moment of 16 kilonewton meter. M is given 16 kilonewton meter. What they are asking is find the tensile force. Find the tensile force acting on the hashed area of cross section. Find the tensile force acting on hashed area. This is the hashed area. You need to find the tensile force acting on this area. Okay, so let's understand this. First of all, let me give you the dimensions. Okay, so this is 50 mm. This is 50 mm. Okay, this is 50 mm. This is 25 and this is 75. So this is the cross section and you need to find what will be the axial force developed in this cross section. Okay, in this section, hashed area, in this section, what will be the force developed due to this bending moment? We are applying a bending moment of 16 kilonewton meter. So if you apply a 16 kilonewton meter bending moment, how much force will be developed in this section? Okay, so let's first understand What is this they are asking? What is the form? What is the meaning of this question? Okay. So let's say you have a beam. Let's say you have a beam and you apply a bending moment like this. Okay. Let's say you have a beam and you are applying a bending. Let's say you are applying a bending moment like this. Okay. Let's say you are applying a bending moment like this. So this beam will be bent like this, right? This beam will be bent like this. Okay, consider any one section of the beam. Consider any one section. Let's cut the beam from this section. So what is happening in this section, my friend? Understand it. What is happening in this section? Understand it. What is happening in this beam? Understand it. You are applying a bending moment M here. Okay. Now in order to balance this M, in order to resist this M, there are forces developed in this section. There are forces developed, internal forces. Okay, stress is what? Internal force per area. So there are internal forces developed. They are developed like this. The bottom section is subjected to tension and the top layer is subjected to compression. So they are developed like this, my friend. They are developed like this. They are developed like this. They will be linear. Okay, so they are developed like this. This is how they are resisting this moment. See, we are applying a clockwise moment and this will also make a moment anti-clockwise. So they are balancing. So this is the axial force developed in the cross section. Okay. Now, you don't need to calculate the total axial force. If you calculate total axial force, what you will get? Total axial force will be 0. This is axial force. Look at this. The force is developed in this direction. So this is axial force. The total axial force developed in the cross section will be 0 because this will be tensile force, this will be compressive force. So the total force developed will be 0, but you don't need to calculate total force. You need what? You need the force developed in this much area. You need the force developed in this much area. Okay. So we have to calculate what will be the force developed in this much area. Let's say we have a particular area, this much area. So what will be this much force? Okay, total force will be 0. We need to calculate this much force. So do you understand what is axial force? When you bend the beam, forces are developed on this plane like this. Forces are developed on this plane. These forces are axial forces. To resist this bending moment, axial forces are developed in cross section. We need to calculate that force in this much area. Okay, so let's calculate the force developed in this much area. Okay, developed in this much area. So how will we calculate the force? How will we calculate the force? Stress is force upon area. So force will be stress into area, but we can't use that formula. Why? Because that formula will be used if the stress is uniformly distributed. Okay. Sigma will be P by A, then P will be sigma into A. But right now the stress is not axial stress. Right now the stress is bending stress. So we can't use this formula. So which formula is used in this type of problem? Let's understand this. Very important concept. Very important concept. Okay. Press the hit the like button. Hit the like button, my friend. Very important concept I am going to tell you. In this problem, what do you need to calculate? Axial force F. Axial force F in this cross section, in this particular section will be equal to sigma max divided by Y max. Sigma max divided by Y max into A into Y bar. Sigma max by Y max into A into Y bar. Sigma max by Y max can also be written as M by I. Sigma by Y equals to M by I. You can write it M by I into A Y bar. Okay. You can remember it like this. M by I into A Y bar. What is A Y bar? A Y bar means area into distance, means first moment of area. Moment of inertia is second moment of area and this is first moment of area. A Y bar. Okay. So let me explain what will be A Y bar. Let's say this is the neutral axis. This will be the neutral axis. What will be A Y bar? A means area of this hashed area. Okay. A means area of this part, hashed part, and Y bar means distance of centroid of this hashed part from neutral axis. Okay. Y bar means distance of centroid of this, not the centroid of total area, centroid of this area from neutral axis. What will be this distance, my friend? This is 25 mm. This is 25 mm. So this distance from the centroid of this hatched part to neutral axis, distance will be 12.5. Y bar for this area will be 12.5. So put the value in this equation. Put the value in this equation. What will be M? What is bending moment? 16 kilonewton meter. Or you can write 16 into 10 to the power 6. What will be moment of inertia I of the total area? So it will be 100. I will be for total area. I will be for total area. So 100 into what will be total height? 150 cube by 12. So M by I into AY bar. What is the area of this hatch section? So it will be 50 into 25 multiplied by Y bar. What will be Y bar? Distance of neutral axis from centroid of hatched section. Centroid of hatched section and neutral axis, they are at distance of 12.5 mm. So what will be the value of F? Calculate it. Calculate it. M by I into AY bar. Very important formula. Note it down, my friend. M by I into AY bar. Very important formula. Note down this formula, my friend. This is a very important formula that you have to remember. Okay. So M means bending moment. I means moment of inertia of total area. A means area of this section, this hatched part, and Y bar means distance of centroid of hash part from neutral axis. So 12.5. So tell me what will be the value of F. Tell me what will be the value of F. F should be 8.89 into 10 to the power 3 Newton, or you can write 8.89 kilonewton. So the axial force developed in this much area is 8.89 into 10 to the power 3 Newton or 8.89 kilonewton. So this is another very important formula. This is another very important question. Okay, how to calculate force in a particular region. Let's say I am asking you, let's say in the same problem, I am asking you calculate the force developed in this much area. Then what you will do? Your M divided by I will remain same, but this will be changed. Let's say this distance, is 50 mm. Okay, let's say this is 25 and this is 50. Okay, so how will you calculate F in this area? Area will become 50 multiplied by 100. Area of this much part will become 50 multiplied by 100. And what will be Y bar? What will be Y bar, my friend? Centroid of this much area, centroid of this hatched area and neutral axis. What will be this distance? 25 plus 25, 50. 25, this total height is 50, so this will be 25. So 50. So 50 into 100 into 50, this will give you the value of F in this much area. This will give you the value of F in this much area. So do you understand this problem? We are calculating how much force is developed in this much area. Force developed in total area. What will be force developed in total area? What will be the force developed in total area? Force developed in total area will be 0. Why? Because tensile force developed below neutral axis will be equal to compressive force developed above neutral axis. So tensile force, compressive force, both will be equal and opposite. So total force will be 0. But there will be some force in this much area that we have to calculate, and for that the formula is this much. M by I into AY bar. The formula is this. So you can use this formula to calculate the force developed in a particular area of cross section. Okay, remember this formula. Okay, this is a problem from GATE 2006. This is a problem from GATE 2006. Okay, all right. So let's move on to the next topic. Let's move on to the next topic. The next topic that we are going to discuss is section modulus. Another very important topic. Another very important topic. And before moving on to the next topic, I'm asking you, please hit the like button, give me a thumbs up, hit the like button, everyone, hit the like button. If you have not liked this video till now, please hit the like button. And remember, after this video, and what you need to do, you need to share this video to as many people as you can. Okay, sharing is caring. So we need to share this video to all people so that everyone can enjoy this free education. Okay, all right. So let's move on to the next topic, which is the section modulus. Very important topic. Very important topic. Section modulus. Okay, you will get theory question and you will also get numerical question from section modulus. Okay, so we need to understand what section modulus is. Okay, section modulus. Section modulus is a parameter which determines the strength of beam. It determines the strength of beam. It determines the strength of beam. Strength means M allowable. Strength means M allowable. M allowable means how much bending moment you can allow on the beam. Okay, how much bending moment you can put on the beam. Let's say this is a beam. I am putting the value of bending moment. Okay, I am applying some bending moment. Okay, if you start increasing this bending moment, there will be a point when the beam will break. So maximum allowable bending moment is, let's say, M allowable. So how much bending moment you can allow, that depends upon what? It depends upon section modulus. How much bending moment you can allow on the beam, it depends upon section modulus. Okay, so section modulus is what? It is the parameter which determines the strength of beam. How strong your beam is. How strong your beam is means how much bending moment it can sustain. That depends upon section modulus. Okay, now look at this equation, my friend. Sigma maximum by Y maximum equals to M into I. Now how much M you can allow? It will depend upon sigma, it will depend upon sigma, it will depend upon Y maximum, it will depend upon I. So M allowable will be equal to what? Sigma allowable. How much sigma you can allow into sigma allowable into, sorry, sigma by Y equals to M by I. Sorry, this will be M by I. So sorry, M by I. So it will be sigma allowable into I divided by Y maximum. Okay, so what is M allowable? It is the strength of beam. How much beam can sustain bending moment? How much bending moment you can apply on the beam? That is M allowable. What is sigma allowable? How much stress you can apply. Now how much stress you can apply, it depends upon strength of material. Okay, we have discussed what is strength of material, SYT, SUT in material properties. Okay, so strength of material means how much stress you can apply. So sigma allowable depends upon strength of material. I by Y max. I by Y max. This is the section modulus, my friend. I by Y max. This is section modulus. I by Y max. This is denoted by Z and it is known as section modulus, my friend. So how much bending moment you can apply on the beam? It depends upon two things. First, sigma allowable, which is nothing but strength of material. For example, let's say strength of steel is 300 megapascal. Steel can sustain 300 megapascal. So sigma allowable will be 300. So M allowable depends upon sigma allowable 300 megapascal and this value which is known as section modulus. Okay, so M allowable equals to sigma allowable into Z. So Z is known as section modulus. If the section modulus is more, M allowable will be more, means you can apply more moment on the beam. So for different sections, let's say we have a circular section, we have a rectangular section, we have I section. For different section, value of Z will be different. Which one will have maximum Z? Which one will have Z maximum Z? Z is I by Y max. Which one will have maximum I? I section will have maximum I because the area is away from neutral axis. Then rectangle and the least moment of inertia will be for circle. So which one is the best? Which one is the best cross section for beam? Best cross section for beam is I section, then rectangle, then circle. Why? Why? Because section modulus for I section is maximum. It can sustain maximum bending moment. Okay, let's say I section can sustain 10 kilonewton meter, means it will fail after 10 kilonewton meter. Then rectangle will fail at 7 kilonewton meter and this will fail at 3 kilonewton meter. Just giving an example. Okay, so this can sustain maximum bending moment and this can sustain minimum bending moment. Okay, all right. So section modulus is I by Y maximum. Okay, for different cross section there is a value of Z. For example, what will be Z of a circle? What will be section modulus of a circle? What will be section modulus of a circle? Let's say this is a circular section. This is neutral axis. let's say the diameter is d, so this will be d by 2, this will be d by 2. So what will be z? I by y maximum. What will be I? What will be moment of inertia? Pi by 64 d to the power 4. What will be y maximum? What will be y maximum? D by 2. So what will be z, my friend? What will be section modulus? What will be z? It will be pi by 32 d cube, my friend. Z will be pi by 32 d cube for a circle. For a rectangle, what will be z? For a rectangle, what will be z? For a rectangle, what will be z? Let's say width is b and let's say height is h. So this will be h by 2. This will be h by 2. Okay, so what will be z here? What will be I? Bh cube by 12. What will be y maximum? H by 2. So what will be z, my friend, here in this case? Z will be bh square by 6. So for circle, z is bh cube by pi by 32 d cube, and for rectangle, z is bh square by 6. For different cross section, there is a value of z. You don't have to remember it for every cross section, but usually you get problem on circle and rectangle. So you remember these two formula. For circle, it is pi by 32 d cube. For rectangle, it is bh square by 6. Okay, so usually you get problems based on these two cross section. Okay, you get problem on triangle also, you get problem on hollow circle also, you get problem on I section also, but maximum problem you will see in your book, it is based on circle and rectangle. So for these two, you remember the formula. For other section, you can find out what will be z by putting I and y maximum. Okay, all right. All right. Now we will solve some numericals based on section modulus. You also get numericals based on section modulus. So we will solve some numericals, some problems based on section modulus, my friend. Okay. Give me a thumbs up. Hit the like button if you still have not liked this video. Now I will solve some problem. So let's say this is the first problem. Let's say you have a circle. Okay, let's say you have a circle and you need to cut a rectangle from this circle. You need to cut a rectangle from this circle. What will be the dimensions of the strongest rectangle that you can cut from circle? What will be the dimensions of strongest rectangle that you can cut from the circle? Okay, this is the question, my friend. Let's say you have a circle and you need to cut a rectangle. What will be the dimension of the strongest rectangle? Okay, see, you can cut different rectangles. You can cut a rectangle like this. You can cut a rectangle like this. You can cut different rectangle from this circle. What do you need to calculate? The dimension of the strongest rectangle, my friend. Dimension of the strongest rectangle. Now what is the strength? Strength means M allowable, right? Strength means M allowable. How much bending moment you can apply. And M allowable will be maximum if Z is maximum. So what do you need to find? You need to find a rectangle which will have maximum Z. You need to find a rectangle which will have maximum Z, my friend. Okay, let's say this is the diameter of the circle, which is D, which will be the diagonal of the rectangle. D will be the diameter of circle, which is nothing but diagonal of the rectangle. Let's say the width of rectangle is B and the height is H. Okay, let's say width is B, height is H. Now we need to find a rectangle with maximum Z. What will be Z? Rectangle will be, for rectangle it will be bh square by 6. Very important question. This question is repeated 2-3 times. This question is repeated 2-3 times in exam. So please focus on this problem. We need to cut a maximum strongest, we need to cut a strongest rectangle, which means we need to cut a rectangle which will have maximum Z. Okay, so Z equals to bh square by 6. Now Z will be maximum. Z will be maximum if, now we will apply a concept of maxima minima. a concept of maxima minima. Let's say y depends upon x. Let's say a curve of y is this. So when will you get maximum y? You get maximum y when the slope of the curve becomes 0. Y will be maximum. Y will be maximum when dy by dx will be 0, right? This is a concept of maxima, right? So let's say you need to calculate z maximum. So z will be maximum if dz divided by, let's say, db equals to 0. This is a concept of maxima minima. Dz by db equals to 0. But the problem is, right now you have this equation in terms of b and h. So you have to convert this equation in terms of completely b. Then only you will be able to differentiate it with respect to b. So what you will do, from this triangle, look at this triangle. Look at this triangle. From this triangle, what you can write? B square plus h square. B square plus h square equals to d square. So I can write h square equals to d square minus b square. Put it here. What you will get? D square minus b square upon 6. So now this complete equation will become d by db of, this will become bd square by 6 minus b cube by 6 equal to 0. This 6 is a constant. It will go right side. If you differentiate bd square with respect to b, what you will get? D square. D is a constant. Okay, D is constant. You can't change the value of D. You can only change b and h. So d is constant. If you differentiate it, you will get d square minus b cube. So it will be 3b square equals to 0. So what will be the value of b? The value of b will become d by root 3. The value of b will become d by root 3. And if b is d by root 3, what will be the value of h? Put the value of b in this equation. Put the value of b in this equation. What you will get? D square minus d square by 3. So 2d square by 3. So root 2 by 3d. Root 2 by 3d. So these are the dimensions of strongest rectangle that you can cut from a circle. What is the dimension of strongest rectangle that you can cut from a circle? D by root 3 and root 2 by 3d. Okay, this is the strongest rectangle that you can cut from a circle. D by root 3, root 2 by 3d. Okay, so this is how you can solve this problem. Okay, another problem we will see based on section modulus, and this is another very important problem. Okay, this is another very important problem. This is also asked usually in exams. Okay, let's say we have a circle. Let's say we have a circle of diameter d. Let's say we have a circle of diameter d, and we have a rectangle of width b and height 2b. Width is b, height is 2b. Area and material is same. Area and material is same. Find the ratio of m allowable of rectangle and m allowable of circle. Okay, you need to find this. How much bending moment you can apply on rectangle divided by how much bending moment you can apply on circle. M of rectangle divided by m of circle. This is your objective. Okay, you have two cross section. One is a circular section, one is a rectangular section. Both the section have same area and same material. They have the same material, means they are made of same material, and their area is also same. And you have to find what? The ratio of their strength, the ratio of their maximum bending moment. How much bending moment you can apply on this divided by how much bending moment you can apply on this. This is another very important topic, my friend. This is another very important topic. I told you which one is better for bending. Rectangle is better. That is logically I told you. Here I will prove the same thing numerically. I will prove the same thing. Why rectangle is better than circle? I will prove it using mathematics. Okay. So now we have to find m. Now if the material is same, what is m? M equals to sigma allowable into z, right? So if material is same, sigma allowable is same. So m of rectangle divided by m of circle will become z of rectangle divided by z of circle, right? What is z of rectangle? Bh square by 6, right? So it will become b into b into 2b whole square divided by 6. What is z of circle? Pi by 32 d cube. So what will you get here, my friend? You will get this. M of rectangle divided by m of circle will become, this will become b cube, d cube. So this will become b by d whole cube multiplied by b by d whole cube multiplied by 32 will go up. This will become 4, 6 will go down. So 32 into 4 divided by 6 pi. This is the equation. But in order to solve this, we need what? B by d. How will we calculate B by D? How will we calculate B by D? How will we find the ratio of B and D? We will find the ratio of B and D by equating the area of circle and rectangle. We know that area of both the cross section is same. So by equating their area, we will get B by D, my friend. Okay, by equating their area, we will get B by D. And once we get B by D, then we can put it here and we can find out this ratio. Okay, so let's equate their area. Area of circle equals to area of rectangle. Put the values here and find out what will be B by D. Put the values here, put the values in this equation and find out what will be B by D. Tell me what will be the value of B by D. Tell me. Tell me, my friend. So area of circle will be pi by 4 d square. Area of rectangle will be b into 2b. So this will become pi by 8 equals to b by d whole square. So from here, what will you get? B by d. What will you get? Root over pi by 8. Sorry, root over pi by 8. Calculate root over pi by 8. What will you get? Root over, where it is? Root over pi by 8. You are getting 0.6266. 0.6266. Okay, B by D is 0.6266. Put it here. Put it here, my friend. Put it here. Put it here. So this will become 0.6266 whole cube into 32 into 4 by 6 pi. Solve this entire thing and tell me the answer. Solve this and tell me the answer. Solve this and tell me the answer. What are you getting? Tell me the answer. Tell me the answer, my friend. So it will become 0.6266 whole cube multiplied by 32 into 4 divided by 6 pi. You are getting 1.67. 1.67. So what is this, my friend? MF rectangle is 67% more than M of circle. If this can sustain 10 kilonewton meter, if this can sustain 10 kilonewton meter, this can sustain 67.67 kilonewton meter. If this can sustain only 10, this can sustain 67.7. Okay, let's write it 67.7. So what is this? This proves that rectangle is a better cross section. Why? Because it can sustain 67%. This rectangle can sustain 67% more bending moment compared to this circle. If this can sustain 10 kilonewton meter, this can sustain 16.7 kilonewton meter. Okay, so this is how you can prove that rectangle is a better cross section than circle for the same area. Okay, so these are some of the problems based on bending stresses. There are other problems also, my friend. We have not completed yet. There are other problems. What problems? There are problems based on combined axial load and bending. Okay, there are problems based on combined axial load and bending. Okay, then there are problems based on composite beam. There are problems based on composite beam. Then there is beam of uniform strength. Then there is beam of uniform strength. Okay, so there are other topics also related to bending stresses. So tomorrow in the next lecture we will cover these topics. Okay, which topics? Combined axial load and bending, then composite beam, then beam of uniform strength. Okay, so we will cover these topics in the next lecture. For today's lecture, this is it. Solve problems based on these topics. Okay, from your previous year gate, solve the problems related to bending stresses. If you have any doubt, okay, then so see this video again and try to understand every concept. Okay, now those of you who want to learn more from me, if you think that I'm a very good teacher and you will be able to learn more from me, then subscribe to Unacademy Plus. Don't forget to subscribe to Unacademy Plus. There are top educators of India. Apart from me, you can see the videos of all educators. Okay, you can subscribe to GATE and ESC section and you will see the video lectures of all faculties. Okay, not only me, you can see the video lectures of all faculties. And don't forget to use this referral code approved 10. What will happen if you use this code? I will get something in return. Okay, you will get 10% discount and I will get a good feedback. Okay, I will get a good feedback that people are interested in my teaching. Okay, so I will get to know that students are interested in my teaching. So please use this referral code. Don't think that if you use this referral code, you will be only able to see my videos. No, you'll be able to see everyone's videos. But this is just a feedback that you are getting this Unacademy Plus subscription through me. Okay, so please use this referral code approved 10. Okay, this is all for today's videos. I will see you in the next video lecture with all these topics, my friend. Thank you for watching, my friend.